Time that we join the two sides of the bridge that we started from the four components of education and from the anatomy of the brain. I've explained to you how people who are dominated by a certain side of the brain learn, behave, and have preferences. However, it is most likely that people will have a combination of the two sides. Some people prefer to learn using their left brain as well as their upper brain, while others their right brain as well as their lower brain. This would be more balanced and it's more common. Again, there is no scientific basis for what I'm saying, but again, it's for science to prove or disprove, and this is just an hypothesis. What this division allows us is to have four different types of learning. You must be reminded that this division has been popularized not only for learning but for personalities, values, and even life choices. But here we are limiting it only to the learning process. I'll be using the same format as I did earlier, that is, assuming that a person is dominated by the particular quadrant and describing how they learn and behave, as I've just told you earlier. Starting with the left lower brain quadrant, we will get to understand how the educational system assumes that everybody in the world understands and learns. This is characterized by somebody who is a logical thinker and is a detail based thinker. In fact, that is the best characteristic for our educational system. Such a person loves to be given facts and fixed processes and procedures to do things, starting with the alphabet and numbers. This person loves to acquire skills, things that he can do and that can be measured by others. The whole system is designed for this person. It is for good reasons, because without the skills to compose a word from a letter or to add and subtract, nothing much can be obtained in terms of education. Then more facts are added in the brain of the child, and he masters words and grammar, as well as more complex formulae and concepts. This goes on up to the higher grades, where he learns to read loudly, then silently. He also learns how to derive, simplify, prove, found out values, describe, explain, draw. So it's one set of skills fitted over another set of skills. In this way, you can visualize a tower of skills. Everything is presented to him logically. That is, after this, that, then this. Everything is given meticulously. The same topic is presented in many ways, with many examples, with few variations. For a person who is dominated by the skill quadrant, it's like child in the candy shop. Adding on to these skills, he develops the skills of research, statistical analysis, and eventually completes up to his PhD by just adding on more skills of whatever subject he is studying. These students are the toppers and academicians wannabes. Eventually, they will become the teachers because they love the system of learning how to do things and following rules in order to win in the game of the exams. So they become highly skillful. In turn, these people will teach their students the same skills in the same narrow skill quadrant way. They can't understand that students can be influenced by the other quadrants also. So these people become the deans, vice chancellors, and then they reinforce more procedures, facts to be learned, mastered, and measured. In fact, there is nothing wrong with this, except that it helps only one fourth of the population. The second fourth of the population is governed by the information quadrant. I have called the right lower brain information quadrant because they don't really care about the skills, and they want to know how what they are being taught relates to their daily lives. They want to see a connection between the facts that they are given to memorize and their relevance in their daily lives. They want to understand what will the skill of calculus do to improve their relationships or their jobs. Basically, they want to know what's in it for me. They are influenced by the desire for expressing feelings and thoughts that comes from the right brain, and the desire for details that come from the lower brain. People in this quadrant want to have fun, they want to gossip, and feel alive. They feel that the strong domination of having to learn skills is stifling them. For them, skill needs to have a context. Everything that they are taught must be presented like a story to be enjoyable because they are expressive and they want to know the details, but they do not need everything to be logical and accurate. It's just gotta feel true. It just gotta feel right. Unfortunately, our education system is not designed in any way for that right lower brain people quadrant. The education system is so dry that they can teach the digestive system, which is so relatable, as a diagram to memorize, to make the information quadrant people understand and enjoy. It should have been woven into a story of a food that is being swallowed and that passes through a pipe, then a big cave where it is crushed, and there are many forces that leads it to transform. Eventually the best of that food comes out after a long series of paths that we call the intestine from the stomach. So much of the food is transformed into energy, and the whole body gets nourished, and what remains gets excreted. In this way, it's a story which doesn't have any logic, but it's the way this quadrant of right lower brain people understand the world. This is the way they have to be taught. So the current education system does the biggest injustice to this information quadrant type of students, and they turn mostly to either dropping out of studies or doing vocational studies. But they could do very well even in sciences or mathematics if they were presented that syllabus in relatable information style. The third fourth of the population is dominated by the knowledge quadrant, or the left upper brain. And these people have a preference for logic and logical thinking, as well as conceptual thinking. They love to see the patterns and find the relationships between various topics that they are being taught. They just love to ask questions. The current educational system requires the student to reach the master's level to be allowed to use this quadrant. Until then, it's all about skills and telling the student don't ask too many questions or any questions, as a matter of fact. Just learn the skills that we have formulated for you and memorize the facts. Then, when you are filled with them or your skill tower is high enough, then only you will be able to inquire on the very meaning of what you have studied. Until then, every theory that you are taught must be understood as an eternal given fact. Don't question, just master the skills. This is the position of the current educational system, and it is so annoying for people in that quadrant. Many geniuses, as a result, leave school because it's so boring to just learn the skills and not being able to question the very syllabus and how it was designed, why it was designed. People of this quadrant must be taught the big picture in a logical format. After spending 18 years acquiring the skills of languages and mathematics, people are now able to question what they are taught and investigate more phenomenons around them. This is the route that conventional education system have designed. There's nothing wrong with that. But what if someone is dominated by the knowledge quadrant by birth? For such a person, a strong focus on skill quadrant only as a teaching approach is not only frustrating, but it is infuriating. They love the logic, yes, but they don't see where it's taking them. Is it taking them to the east or west or north or south? They want to know. However, the very people who are teaching them do not know what are those skills and facts telling them, and what kind of picture it is compiling into. The educational system is filled with teachers who are mainly dominated by the skill quadrant. So they wouldn't know how to fit in the puzzle of the very subject that they are teaching. They just have the puzzle pieces and just tell the student to fit them, not knowing what shape it should take. It can be highly disconcerting for the knowledge quadrant person. He wants to see a pattern. In order to do that, he must ask questions and challenge the skills that he's being taught. But then, where is the time when there is a fixed course to be completed and an exam pending looming around the corner? As an example, let's take the digestive system that we just talked about earlier. For the skill quadrant person, it should suffice to give the definition and the diagram. But for a knowledge person, he would like to know, why is a digestive system needed, and what if there was no digestive system? What's the logic of having a digestive system? Why can't we just be energized? Or why can't the food just transform into energy as soon as we put it in our mouth? These type of questions will be highly irritating to anybody having to teach the digestive system. But it is through questions and logical build-ups like this that the knowledge quadrant person has got to learn or loves to learn. Is there a relationship with the digestive system and the other bodily systems? How do they work in tandem, and why so? You just do not know where the questions will come from. They just need to find patterns in order to be motivated to keep learning. They are just not happy by memorizing the definition and making the diagram or deriving formulas. They want to know the reason behind the effect of each things that they learn, and they want to see a pattern. And that's the nature of this left upper brain quadrant or knowledge quadrant people. The final fourth population are dominated by the wisdom quadrant. They love to be expressive in terms of words as well as drawings, and they love to be highly conceptual. As you can see in the diagram, this quadrant is diagrammatically opposite to the skill quadrant. You can say that people in this quadrant are the antithesis and sworn enemies of the skill quadrant. They are the total opposite. They want to learn what is the use of what they are taught and how they can be applied and what can be innovated and how they are similar or different to other things around them. These people try to find a unifying concept of everything. For them, handwriting is not just a way to write down what you want to tell to others, but It's an expression of their moods and thoughts. For them, analogies, metaphors, similes are a key requirement for learning. They can't just be told, learn this. They have to be told that a certain skill is like something like another thing that's not related. Let's take the example of the digest system again. You have to tell the wisdom quadrant people that the alimentary canal is like a filtering system. Again, it doesn't have to make total logical sense for them as long as there is an analogy that is chipped in. When we can say that the stomach is like an engine that produces energy out of food, like an engine produces motion out of fuel. And now they get it. By the way, the fume that the combustion of the engine produces can be compared to either the excreta or the farts. Again, it doesn't have to be accurate for them. It just got to be conceptual and an expression of the ideas. Then they just get it. From that on, they could evolve new ideas, innovate. Of course, not all of them will end up becoming Picasso's or Leonardo da Vinci's, but it's just the way they are. It's just the way the learning works for them. Drawings is not just a way to represent things, but is the best way to understand for them. They are highly visual and they can understand so much with just the drawing. Everybody understands the drawing, but they understand it the best. So, before I end this subsection, I want to apologize for the imperfection in my exposition of the four brain quadrants as well as the two brain divides. All I wanted was to give you a working concept and enough details with credible enough logic and sound enough concepts. It was a challenge to even write all this, but this was necessary for me to derive the four brain learning approach. I know I forced my way in the derivation and I'm guilty as charged, but aiming for perfection would have required me years more of research, which would not guarantee a better explanation on this topic. Also, I do not think that this is my job to put the science behind this four brain learning approach because, as you must have guessed, I am not dominated by the scale quadrant. It is not my preference, and that's the job which is of proving or disproving anything of the scale quadrant people, not the wisdom quadrant people like me. That said, I want to end with the encouraging note that anybody who knows this model can develop all the four brain quadrants. In fact, many people who are in various professions have mastered the four quadrants to some extent, although they have a predominance of one particular quadrant. For example, as I told you, my predominance is of wisdom quadrant, but I have mastered the skills enough, although not enough, as well as information quadrant and knowledge quadrant. Again, both of them I have mastered enough, but not enough to be recognized as a master or expert or a genius.